Hey, this month, welcome to the virtual staff room tech updates for last month. There aren't too many this month, but some of them are actually pretty cool. So we'll jump into it. There's a few reminders that were in the user updates from yesterday, but some of them are actually quite useful from an administrative point of view. So this is just an update from the user. Interface yesterday is that the Currents, which is the social media platform that Google keep on trying to put out and then pull it, is basically no longer available. Anyone who's using the Currents data obviously can take their data out up until August, and then it will no longer be available. Basically, that has been replaced by the chat functionality and the chat space functionality, for which there are some updates in this session as well. So a very useful thing within the admin console now is that if all of your spaces within Google Chat can now be managed by you as an administrator through the admin console. So you'll see at the top of the screen there, the breadcrumb trail to the apps, Google Workspace, settings for Google Chat, and then manage spaces. So you can manage members, you can change roles within a chat space. We use it extensively. I'm sure Chris will agree. We use the spaces extensively. Google used the spaces extensively to communicate with us as well. So this is just a really useful way of looking at the number of members that you've got to see whether external guests can be invited into a space or not, and to see whether the history of the chat space is actually being recorded. This one is just an additional level of security for Gmail. I mean, I would imagine that everyone on this meet today has your DKIM, your DMARC, and your SPF set up to prevent spoofing, phishing, and whaling attacks. This is just an additional security measure using BIMI. BIMI is the brand indicator for mail identification. So you can see there in the screenshot that Google have identified their logo as basically being their own logo. So it is basically to flag up to anyone receiving an email from your school or college or university account that actually the email is from you, because you actually have verified that logo. Now, when it comes to the verification for mail identification brand indicator, is you will need to, number one, upload your logo, verify that logo. You will need to create in your DNS, you'll need to create a BIMI text record to prove that it is actually from your domain. And then you will need to create what they call a VMC, a verified mark certificate. And then once that's in place, people will be able to check when they receive an email from an account within your school or college that it is actually from you. So just an additional level of security. This is just an update to membership limits for Google Groups. So it's going up from 2,000 direct memberships to 3,000, and the combined direct and indirect going up from 5,000 to 7,500. Bear in mind that a manager of a Google Group counts as both the manager and the member, so they count as two members. I'm quite sure the majority of people on this call do not have 7,500 people in a Google Group, but I may be wrong. This one's a really important one for schools, is that now administrators will be given, through the alert center and the admin center, they will be given access to any abuse that is detected throughout chat in particular, but also throughout other things, so that you will be able to sort of like take action. If there is an abuse taking place, you can then go in there and take action such as to suspend a user account, a student user account, for example, if there has been abuse taking place.
James, is that out of the box, or does that have to be configured in some way?
No, that is out of the box.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, that's out of the box. This one is just AppSheet powered no-code apps in Google Chat. So what this is basically just functionality that allows you to, without coding anything, within your Google Chat to sort of like automate things like workflows and things like that. It's basically just using sort of like AI more than code to actually make things a lot easier. This one is a Google Drive API functionality, is that if you are sharing files, now obviously your users at the minute, when they share a file outside of, say, the domain, can set a restriction as to when that share expires. But you as an administrator now using the Google Drive API can set those file expiration, the share expiration directly. So you can say after a certain amount of time, this person's access expires on this date at this time. So users within the document, as it says there, they can see that there is an expiration date as to when they're no longer going to have access, but they can't change it. So again, it's a data protection thing more than anything else. This one, again, is relating to chat and to spaces. So this, again, does require, it's standard and plus only, but it does require you as an administrator to go in there and actually select what it is you want people to be able to report on. So as you can see there in the example, you can select the reporting categories such as harassment, rude behavior, discrimination, explicit content, or even confidential information. So if someone's put something confidential in a chat space or in a one-to-one chat, you can allow your users within the domain to actually report that to you as an administrator so you can take action on it. This one was announced last year. There isn't an image for this one, but this is to do with Gmail data across the security investigation tool in BigQuery. So what it allows you to do within your sort of investigation tool is to drill down into how your users are actually using Gmail more in depth. So you can look at emails that people have clicked on. You could, links within emails that people have clicked on. You can look at what people have actually downloaded within your email, within emails that they've received. So you've got an overall arching view of what is actually going on in your domain and how people are actually using Gmail. And again, from a security point of view, being able to see what's being downloaded and what links have been clicked. But again, if you've got Education Standard or Education Plus, a lot of that information is also in the dashboard as well. Again, with the space management, this is again to do with chat. You as an administrator now can delete these spaces or remove members from a Google Chat space. So rather than someone just setting up a space and you as an admin not actually having control over it, you've now got control over it. I don't know how many of you are using Google Voice, but now there's more data within the Google audit logs. So you can look at sort of like if you've got sort of like packet losses where your Google Voice might not be performing as it should be, you can look at that and investigate whether that is actually one of your internal network issues or what it might be. And that is it. Is that a record?
No, it's not a record, but it was good, precise, straight through there. James, yeah, thank you so much for that. couple of things for me, I guess, on that. I'm new to that, and this won't surprise anyone on the call, but I'm new to that. Was it BIMI? Logo
BIMI.
ID. So that's
Yeah.
like an extra level of security where it's also checking that this might be something. I'm just thinking along the lines of like getting an email from Amazon or something like this. So is that actually going to pick up the correct logo that it needs to say that you are who you actually are?
Yeah, so basically what it is if you're a school or a college and you've got your logo and that logo is pushed out, Susan?
Yeah, that's okay, I think. Yeah.
You know, if you are pushing that logo out as to all inboxes, then you identify, it's basically a bit like your DKIM, where you can identify that logo is actually your logo, and you have to verify that via the DNS of the domain, so that when someone receives an email that says it's from C Learning, for example, and just to be clear, we haven't actually set this up yet because it's brand new, but we will be setting it up. They can click on the sort of like the email sender and see from the logo that actually it is from our domain.
Got it.
There's only a few steps that you need to take, but you do certainly need to set up a text record within your DNS, upload your logo, and then set the text record and set the verified mark certificate in order for that to work.
Cool, excellent. Thanks, James. I like the restricted access as well on shared files in terms of times as well. I think that's really good. And certainly something that I could find useful. Various documentation and whatnot that I share around within the team and with other people, possibly just giving them access to a certain point. That would
I think a lot of
useful as well.
I think a lot of the updates this time was to do with spaces and chat, simply because they've taken the currents away and they're pushing people towards the chat and the spaces. And like I said, we use it extensively. So just being able to sort of like give administrators more control over spaces and chat is useful. I like the update about getting alerts about abuse and harassment. I think that's very, very useful, particularly within big establishments, to be able to get an alert to say, rather than having a staff member knock on your door saying so and so said so and so to so and so, you get an alert immediately if you've turned the alert on to say that this has been abuse or someone sharing personal information or this, that, and the other.
Can I ask a question about that, James? If you turn that on, does that alert then go? Can that alert go to certain individuals if you wanted to go like a safeguarding team, for instance, or is it just for admins at the moment?
It's for admins, but obviously, within the alert center, you can set up a custom admin role, Stuart, so that they can get specific alerts on certain things. Okay.
Right. The other one I was interested in, the app sheet. What could we use that for? It's automated workflow. I like the sound of automated stuff. So what can we get it to do for us? Any sort of cases where people have used it?
The app sheet, with the non-coding, I haven't actually tried it myself, Stuart, to be honest. But looking at the documentation that Google provided, it's basically just, without being able to code, you can basically just sort of like automate workflows within sort of like a chat space or whatever, just to make it easier. So I haven't looked at it, I'll be honest.
Okay. We'll have a look at
it. When Chris sends the slide deck out, you can just click on it and it will give you far more information.
Okay.
Thursday evening, that is, Stuart. Thursday evening, you'll have to bide your time.
You're gonna wait until then, have I, Chris?
I know. I always do the Thursdays because by then Paul and James have put the slide decks and everything and the videos together, so I can. Oh, hi Tony. Okay, then, mate. Yeah. I'll get those sent out. It's usually Thursday evening by the time they're ready, but they'll be across to you, my friend. No problem at all.
No problem.
Yeah, that was a reasonably quick one today, Tony, or anyone who's joined slightly late there. You've kind of missed it, but
Yeah, sorry. There was
not-
something else that came up, of course, as it always does, you know. But
no worries, Tony. I mean, we send the videos on, of course, and the slide decks and whatnot. It depends. You get different amounts. I mean, if you were at the one from yesterday, I know Dave Leonard was in that, and I think we had about 3 minutes spare at the end of the hour. There were so many sort of end user updates. The admin ones this month a little bit lighter on the ground, but that happens from time to time, doesn't it? So
yeah,
you never know. And we'll certainly, like I say, you get the video across. Takes less time to watch it back as well if it's a short one. And also the slide decks that'll have all the different links and whatnot into the various articles, so we can always keep across that as well.
I think it also makes a difference when James is presenting is rather more concise and Paul's a little bit more verbose.
Paul does have a habit of going, hang on, let me just open this up. Well, let's just check this out. Yeah. I remember when I was
don't know whether to take that as a compliment or not.
I'll leave that up to you, James. It was certainly intended as a compliment to you
Absolutely.
both. I think the most interesting thing for me was the Google Chats Spaces management. It's one of those things that's been missing for a while. It was a feature request that I put in years ago, so I'm hoping for the email from Google saying yes, we appreciated that suggestion in 2015. I'm just going through now in our admin panel just how many, before we turned off access to Google Chat for students, just how many were created, and there's been none since 2015, which is why I know when I put that request into Google. But only now can I see the spaces that were created and delete them and just see who was up to what. So it's quite an interesting little exercise that I've got 74 spaces left to look at, and at the moment I found 2 that are relevant. So I'll be doing a little bit of tidying up over the rest of lunchtime.
Yeah, and maybe wrap a few knuckles, Dave.
I would do, but they've all left by now, and most of them are probably bigger than me, so they're all right.
I love it. So that basically gives admin, from the non-techie point of view here, that would give admin complete control over sort of, is that who can actually make a spaces or a chat group, whatever you want to call it, and also then take action and delete any that are inappropriate.
Yeah, there were settings there to allow us to restrict who could create chat spaces, or God, they wouldn't have even been called chat spaces in the time of the Hangouts groups or something like that. They would have been called. So that setting was brought in some years ago, but up until this release, we've not had that power to be able to see exactly what was there and to take action on them, more importantly. So that's quite an interesting one. That's through apps, Google Workspace, settings through Google Chat, and then you can manage spaces through there. So quite a good one for people to review, I'd suggest, and also then to make sure that they've got the appropriate restrictions for their organisation in place to stop people creating groups such as One Can't Board the Banter Bus, The Boys, My Boys, In It, LOL, and things such as that, which are the ones that I'm currently working through at the moment.
So they might be quite important groups, Dave.
Which is that's the benefit of the tool. I can go and I can manage the members first. And if My Boys In It LOL is the head teacher and his SLT, then maybe I'll just leave it alone. Maybe suggest a rename.
Love it.
I just looked at ours there and I got nearly 3,200 spaces.
Oh, you're going to be busy, Stuart. Maybe first thing to do is to check that setting to make sure that no more can be created.
The first page of 50's got no members.
Excellent.
That's good, though.
Was there no way to export the list to like a
I
spreadsheet?
couldn't see it.
How about
There's a filter option.
There's
but
a
there's
filter,
no-
and that's it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
You might be able to do something in the investigation tool to get a list, but I think it's ultimately it's the same process, isn't it? See who's in there, delete the group if it's no longer relevant, and you'll end up with a handful of relevant ones, no doubt.
Be good to do an assault by last activity, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's really frustrates me actually. The number of times that you get a page within the admin panel and there's only a sort on some columns.
Yeah,
So we can sort it by member count and that's it.
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Enhance
Well,
on request.
I have to say that given that revelation, Dave, it's probably a good job that we finished early today because
I'm going to be busy.
you're going to be busy. Yeah.
Although I ain't going to be as busy as Stuart because I've only got 74 to go through. So
No, I'm not going to start on that. Wait till the academic year to finish first.
yeah, a nice summer job.
For somebody.
I'm going to stop the recording now, chaps.
Okay. Thank you all.
Perfect. Any kind of final questions?